Hey guys, a happy Wednesday. It's Joe, and it's time for Pikkit with Joe. We've got 3 games on the slate today and some really exciting ones that are interdivisional. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's break down these games. I want to thank you guys all for joining me here today. We're going to start off with the first one. We got the Florida Panthers taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, this is a battle of the Atlantic here as these two go at it. And we know the Florida Panthers have been showing their struggles as of late. They need to get this win so very desperately. But we've been saying that the last 4 games that they have lost, needing to come into those games and get those wins. They lost that one to the Senators Monday night. It was a 5-2 loss. So really disappointing with what we see now, the Florida Panthers, and a really hard task we're asking them to go into Toronto and get the win over the Maple Leafs tonight. They've gone 0-4 in their last 4 meetings overall, like we said. They've also gone 1-9 in the last 10 in Toronto. We're asking a lot, but I'm going to have some faith here in the Florida Panthers. Yes, I know must wins do not convert to will win, but I do look at the Leafs here. I look at their situation and look at what the Leafs are playing for. They solidified their spot. They're sitting second in the Atlantic right now. And I do think this is kind of a letdown spot for them. They got that nice win over the Predators. It was a 3-2 win on Sunday. And they're returning here home off a 5-game road trip. I think this is a little bit of a letdown for the Leafs, and I can't get behind them at -145. Now, if you like the Florida Panthers like I do, search the value, guys. I did find a -128 out, or a +128 out there. The majority of the lines are +125. And I know it's only 3-point difference, but at the end of the day, we know how much that makes a difference over the years. So you make the Florida Panthers a +128. I do think this is another one to look at that first period. We have a high total here of 7. We saw last night in the Calgary game versus the Kings. Congratulations to my Calgary Flames, by the way, getting that win. All the goals came in that first period. That's what we're seeing with these really strong goalies. We've got Bobrovsky and Samsonov in goal for this matchup. We see the defense and the goaltending let those goals go early, and then we see the game switch to a really strong defensive game. So I'm not going to touch the total. Do I expect it to go over 7? I would lean over if I had to take a side, but I do think both teams to score in the first period is the best way to go. That's coming in at +134. I also think you lean on that over 1.5 if you want to take an over somewhere in the first period at -164. Now, if you're like me and you like to watch these lines come down and then bet it over, I would watch this first couple of minutes of the game. If we can go even 5 minutes scoreless, we're going to see that 7 drop to 6.5. We might pay a little bit more juice, but I'd be more comfortable taking it over at that 6.5 and pushing on the number of 7 than I would be on taking this one over 7 right now. Now, another thing to look at also is that first period. If you can live that first period, live bet that if we don't see the goals come in the first 5 minutes, I do think it's an optimum way to make some money in this game. We just got way too many playmakers here. We got Austin Matthews, Nylander, Mitch Marner. Who else am I forgetting? Tavares, all for the Leafs. Those players will come out strong. And we know Matthew Tkachuk here for the Florida Panthers. He's off a disappointing game. A loss to the Ottawa Senators, a loss to his brother. And I do think we see him come out strong, Matthew Tkachuk. So I'd look at him as well in this one, you guys. Strong trends to that over if you want to jump on it now, but I would wait until it drops to 6.5. 7-1-1 in the last 9 meetings. Like I said, it's going to be a lot to ask of the Florida Panthers to roll into Toronto and get the win. But value-wise, I got to go there. I do think they are so absolutely desperate. They can find a way. And this Leafs team has been spotty in some spots. And after coming home from a road trip, I think it is a nice fade here. Big a shout out to you. Matt, thank you for being here. I really hope you had a great time at the game last night. Shoot us over some pictures. Let us know how that game was for you. Big shout out to you all for being here. I appreciate. Toronto's still fighting hard. I don't think Toronto is. I think Toronto is beginning to take their foot off the pedal. And at least in this game, I think this game is when they take their foot off the pedal. We got to look at each individual games and look at how they've done in those games. But I do think this is one off that road trip with their playoff spot really solidified here. I do think we're going to see them not give it everything that they have. But I do think this team will still come out offensively and still have a strong offensive production. That being said, the Florida Panthers strong offensively as well. We know that Toronto does have the better defense when they decide to lock down. I just don't see that defense really locking down tonight. Flames came through. My mom must have been, she wasn't at the game. Actually, my mom took off to hotter weather. So she left me up here in Canada to freeze to death while she's laying on a beach sipping on a margarita. So hats off to my mom. She knows where to watch the Flames game. She was watching it poolside last night. So it might be a little bit of luck. Panthers reverse puck line. And I love this here. I do think if you look at the Panthers reverse puck line -1.5, definitely great value in that. Like I said, the Panthers absolutely need to dominate. They need to win this game. Even if you took them just the -1, at least you get the push there if they only win it by 1. But I would play around with that reverse puck line. I do like it. How many times are the Panthers going to use Bobrovsky? I know Bobrovsky is getting exhausted in there. That is for sure. They're going to keep using him right now because it's do or die. I think if they lose this one and then actually, even if they just lose this one, I think the Panthers are absolutely done. I really do think this is the pivotal swing game. So they need this win desperately. Big shout out to each and every one of you. I will tell my mom to have a beverage for each and every one of us watching here, and she'll be up for the task. Trust me, my mom is a good sport for that. She'll have one on the beach for us, you guys. I told her to have a couple for me for sure. Okay, so the Florida Panthers, Toronto Maple Leafs. Panthers, I have faith in them tonight. So let's go Panthers. Ugh, I hate saying it. Let's look at another one. We have the New York Islanders taking the Washington Capitals. 7:30 Eastern matchup here. Now, we got a home dog in the Washington Capitals, -120 for the New York Islanders. So the New York Islanders trying to cling on to a wild card spot here. The Caps on the very edge. And now a lot of people think they have the ability, if they just win everything, to still get in. I really don't think the Capitals are getting anywhere, but I do think this is a team that we're still going to get our best effort from. I don't see them just giving up on these games. They're not going to end the season completely flat. They're probably one of those teams like the Pittsburgh Pirates when we look at baseball that loves to play upset. That's what I look at the Washington Capitals as. One of these teams that comes out night in, night out, even if they're out of the playoffs, and keeps going here. So they're sitting 6th in the Metro, and they'd love nothing more than to upset the New York Islanders, who are sitting 4th in the Metro. When we look at the Islanders' schedule on deck, it is a hard one, you guys. So they play the Capitals tonight, and then they have Tampa Bay Lightning, the Hurricanes on deck this coming weekend, and then they have the Lightning back on deck on Thursday next week. So really hard. 3 games ahead of them. They need to hold on to this wild card spot. They're only sitting like 3 points above the Pittsburgh Penguins here. So this is one they need this win. But like I said, the Washington Capitals aren't going to give them an easy win here. Sorokin and Kemper expected in goals. So Sorokin coming in here for the Islanders. We know how strong he's been. And we look at this team. They've been really racking up the goals, not playing the style of hockey that we normally know of the Islanders. They've been getting these shots. When we look at the Washington Capitals, they've got the Lightning on deck on Thursday. They lost that last game to the Pittsburgh Penguins on Saturday. Tight game, though. 4-3. And we've seen struggles out of the Washington Capitals defensively as of late. They're only allowing that 30.6 shots on goal, but some of these games, their defense, we've seen the holes in it, and I've just questioned what they've been doing out there on the ice. Now, we have the Islanders coming into Washington, not a place that they played strong in at all. This is going to be an absolute challenge for the Islanders. Yes, I do think the Islanders have the ability to win, but I think the Capitals have the ability to play the upset in this one. I'm going to look at this total. I do think we go to over. And I think we go to over because I do think this is one where we're 3-3 and we go to overtime. I think both of these teams would be happy to push this to overtime. We know if the Islanders push it to overtime, get the win, they get 2 points. If the Washington Capitals push it to overtime and lose, they get the 1 point. I do think the Capitals, though, have the ability to pull this off just looking at the New York Islanders schedule ahead of them. So I'm going to take the Washington Capitals at plus 100 here on the money line. I'm also going to take this one to go to overtime. Now, when I'm looking at games to go to overtime, you guys, I told you before, I look at these divisional matchups. I look at what these teams are fighting for, and the Islanders fighting for that to stay in that wild card, stay ahead. And we have a Capitals team that's on the cusp of maybe being able to do something, but everyone would have to lose. They'd have to win. It's not a good recipe for them, but I still think this is a team that plays with complete heart. So give me the over 3-3 going to overtime. Maybe do exact score in this one, 4-3 style game here. Either way, you like it, but I will take a chance on the Capitals to pull off the upset. Okay, let's look at the next one here. We're going to talk about the Minnesota Wild taking on the Colorado Avalanche. This is at 10 o'clock Eastern. We have a total of 6 in this one. The Minnesota Wild, and there are some 5.5s out there. If you like it under like I do, I'm going to tell you right away, go bet that under 6 now before it moves to 5.5. This is going to be an insane battle on the ice. This is going to be absolutely phenomenal defensive and goaltending game. I cannot see this being an offensive light up the net. This is playoff style hockey right here tonight. This is going to be absolutely intense, and both defenses need to come to play, and so do goalies. Now, offensively, both of these teams, we know they can get these goals, but this is a battle of the Central here with the Minnesota Wild sitting first in the Central and the Colorado Avalanche sitting second. I do think Colorado can pull off this upset on home ice. They won on February 3rd. It wasn't February 3rd. It was a 3-2 win in February for the Colorado Avalanche. And I do think they can get the sweep. They won the previous game this year as well. And to win all 3 here isn't out of reach for the Colorado Avalanche. I think this is a team that is hungrier. I know the Wild are an absolutely strong team. They're sitting first in the Central for a reason, but I think Colorado, a healthy Colorado, is a much better team. Remember, a Stanley Cup champion team here. Yes, they've made some changes on this team this year, but a healthy Colorado Avalanche team is pretty unstoppable. Now, when we look at the matchup between these two, the Wild have gone 4-1 in the last 5 games overall. We look at Colorado at home. They're 5-2 in the last 7 meetings. When we look at the Wild coming into Colorado, they have absolutely struggled. They have not won one of the last 4 meetings in Colorado. And yes, trends are made to be broken, but that's too strong of a trend for me, especially when I look at this Colorado Avalanche team looking healthy right now. The Wild also 3-7 in the last 10 meetings. Nothing in me wants to put money on the Wild. And when we look at this line, it's plus 135 here for the Minnesota Wild, minus 155 for the Colorado Avalanche. So that being said, I can't get on a side here unless I do think Colorado can win this on that puck line. Now, looking at the puck line, the Wild have kept these games really tight, and they're 20-16 on the road on that puck line. This is one where I think it's going to be a lower scoring one, so taking that puck line is terrifying to me as well. I'm just going to hit the under, you guys. If you want to do an alternative puck line, just laying the 1 goal here with Colorado, you might get the push. So that is one way to go, but I wouldn't do the regular puck line at minus 1.5. I would also be very careful of taking Colorado in regulation, because while it could happen, I do think this is another divisional matchup that means so much to both of these teams that could go to overtime. So I'm going to be taking this one. I'm going to sprinkle lightly on this one going to overtime. I do think this could be a 1-1 game going into OT because of the extra man when the pulled goalie and that kind of thing. I do think this is super low scoring. So give me the under 6 in this one. Give me Colorado here for the win. I just can't bet it straight up. And give me this one to go to overtime. It's going to be an absolutely incredible game. Ovechkin, the anytime goal. Yeah, you could look at Ovechkin for an anytime goal for sure. You know what, Kelly? If I was to go one way or another with that first period, I would go 0-0 in that first period. And I know there's a little bit of puck luck that comes in. And I know when I'm looking at teams in that first period, that is when you see those slip-ups of those goalies. I think this one enters as a straight as a straight playoff style game. I think it is tight from the very start. I think we see when the goals come, it's at the end of the second or the end of the third period. I think this is going to be absolutely insane out there on the ice, you guys. And if it goes over and if we get like 3 goals in that first period, I'm going to be shaking my head and thinking, what the hell? Not what I expect out of this game. Give me a playoff style game here. Kelly, you are so welcome. So overtime, you know what? All 3 of these games have an absolutely phenomenal chance to go to OT tonight. All 3 of them. And let me know which ones you feel the strongest. I do feel the strongest about the Islanders and the Capitals, and then the Colorado Avalanche and the Minnesota Wild, and thirdly, the Florida Panthers, Toronto Maple Leafs. Out of these 3 games, I do believe 2 go to OT. And I do think all of these games are super competitive. I do think the first period over 1.5 is a phenomenal way to go with the Florida Panthers and Toronto. I would stay off the first period between the Islanders and the Capitals. I do expect the goals in that one, but I'm not willing to jump on that first period because we know we can see both of these teams be able to lock down in some cases in that first period. And same with the Minnesota Wild and the Colorado Avalanche. I do think those goals will come in late when they do come in. I think defense straight out of the gate. So let's build a parlay recap and best bets, you guys. The Florida Panthers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm going to take both teams to score for my best bet of this game in that first period. I do think we have a high scoring first period. I can't rate. I try to keep track of these so I know what I gave you guys. Both teams to score in that first period. The over 1.5, I will throw into the parlay for the Florida Panthers and the Leafs over 1.5 first period. I'm not taking that as a best bet because it is too highly juiced. But otherwise, I think the Florida Panthers, and that's one of my best bets of the day, you guys, the Florida Panthers to pull off the upset here at plus 128. My clients did get that bet. I think it is a really solid way to go in this one. The New York Islanders and the Washington Capitals. Again, I think this is a game that has the opportunity to go to overtime. That's one of my favorite bets of this game. If I had to pick a side, it would be the Washington Capitals to come away with the home win in this one. I'm looking at this to be a 3-3 game going into OT, and that's why I'm leaning on this over here. I do think we'll see the goals, but I'm not quite sure if they come in that first period for these 2 teams. I'm leery of that, and it's just a gut feeling on that we're not going to see a high-scoring first period, but we'll see the goals come in the second and third period. So this is a prime opportunity if we see it play out that way. With us getting this total, it is sitting solid at 5.5. If we don't see a goal in that first period, this number is going to drop down to 4.5. Betting it over at that point or within the next or within the first 10 minutes of this game with those no goals, if you see that juice drop, it is a nice opportunity to jump on that over because we are paying juice on the over 5.5 at the moment. For the parlay, you guys, I will take the Islanders and the Capitals over 5.5. And then last but not least, you guys, the Minnesota Wild and the Colorado Avalanche. Like I said, prime opportunity for this game to go to overtime here. I think Colorado gets the win. I'm going to throw them in the parlay, the Avs on the money line. I think they have every ability to get the sweep on the season over the Minnesota Wild and take over that Central Division, become first in the Central on their home ice tonight. So give me Colorado. I do think this is one where we go straight under that total. And again, you can wait. If we get an early goal, we're going to see movement on that. I don't think we see the early goals come. I think this is a super low scoring one. So if you like the under, like I do, jump on the under 6 right now because that number is moving. You're seeing a lot more 5.5. So I do like this one for Colorado to get the win. The safest bet, though, I think is the under 6. But you guys, that's it. Recap that parlay. It's the Florida Panthers and the Toronto Maple Leafs over 1.5 in the first period. The Islanders and the Capitals over 5.5, and the Colorado Avalanche on the money line. Best bets, the Florida Panthers plus 128 to pull off the upset. The Panthers and the Maple Leafs, both teams to score in the first period, and then the under between the Minnesota Wild and the Colorado Avalanche. So 3 best bets there for you guys. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic game out there on the ice for all 3 of these games. Like I said, I think all 3 have the possibility of going to overtime, especially when we look at these divisional matchups we have on deck tonight. Every single game here is a divisional matchup. We got a battle of the Atlantic, a battle of the Metro, and a battle of the Central. So you guys enjoy these games. Lots of things going to happen tonight if Colorado wins this, taking over that Central Division. It will be definitely interesting to see it. But you guys have a good one. I will be back here tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern. Don't forget, MLB show is starting tomorrow. That's going to be a nice quick show. Haven't decided what time it's going to be at. I'm probably going to try to sandwich it in here with the hockey show. We're going to go over 3 to 5 quick baseball picks each day. So there isn't a Cup of Joe yet, Stevie out yet, but I will put out the Cup of Joe play right after this. I have all my information ready, and I apologize, you guys. The last about a week and a half, I've been super busy with different meetings and stuff, and my Cup of Joe play is always ready. The problem is I haven't had time to record them and post them and get them up. So my apologies, you guys. I will get that Cup of Joe up today. And Devin Booker, he hurt us. Remember, he didn't get his points we needed in that game. What did he get? 25 points. We needed 29.5 to the over. Devin Booker killed us, but we did get that nice prop with Corpusalo. I want to call him Capusello. It's Corpusalo. Last night getting over 29.5 save shots. And I tell you, I was screaming at my Calgary Flames to shoot the effing puck. It was like, because we were right there. We were right there on that number. I didn't think it was going to come in, but we did get that prop yesterday. Cup of Joe will be out. There'll be a prop bet out as well for you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Best of luck to you guys. Let everyone know below what you are betting so that everyone can tell you guys. I know you guys are cashing left, right, and center as well, and everyone wants to know how to cash best. So that's what we need. You need a Cup of Joe with whiskey in it. Oh, group caps. You'll get back. Have a big bounce back. I don't like booze in my coffee unless it's espresso martini. I'm not interested in any booze in my coffee. And no, I haven't come out with an MLB show name yet. My graphic designer has been asking me because I asked him to design my logo, and he said, well, I need a name. So we're at that point, but you guys, that's where we're going. Peter, it's been about 5 years now. So doing this professionally, talking to you guys left, right, and center online and putting out my bets for people. I started off free on Instagram. So my Instagram account got hacked. It was the Joe Madden. I had to open a new one. Started on Twitter about 2 years ago. The rest is history, guys. So have a good one. And let's have a fantastic day. Bye, guys.